This I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. Giving can be done through Patreon, PayPal, or Cash App. All links are in the description. As stated over the years, if you do give, let it be in accordance with the scriptures. Love you. Let's get it.
I ask this question all the time. What is the scariest book that you have in your collection, or scariest books? And so I put together a list of 5. And the Egyptian Book of the Dead doesn't even make the list. What books do make the list? Here goes. This book is from 1589. It is a book on demonology, written by none other than James the First, or King James, the man who would have the Bible printed that carries his name. He wrote a book on demonology and witchcraft in 1589.
So there have been these viral TikTok videos going around talking about how King James, yes, that King James, wrote a book called Demonology. And because he wrote this book called Demonology, we shouldn't believe the Bible. In actuality, what they're doing is they are indirectly attacking the word of God because they don't believe the word of God. And I'm going to show and prove to you that these same people that are claiming that King James was so into demonology and we shouldn't believe the Bible simply because he wrote this book, they are actually demons speaking against the word of God. They are actually demons who hate the word of God because they're lying. Now, I don't know about you, but when I don't believe something, I don't believe it based on lies. I just don't believe it. I don't have to go to the lengths of lying simply because I don't support something. We actually have the book, Demonology. We're not only going to expose those who have lied and continue to lie, but we're also going to expose those that support these demons by not doing their own research. We have the book. Here we are, Demonology of King James, original edition 1597, new edition 2016. Not too big of a book. And it tells you the Demonology of King James forms one of the most intriguing and well-made texts of the burning times. Crafted at the end of the 16th century, it details the nature of sorcery, witches, Satan, fairies, and hauntings, simultaneously blasting witchery and papistry. Doesn't sound like he's supporting the Roman Catholic Church. King James prescribes various witch hunting methods, classifies demons, and suggests the sole method of dealing with all forms of witches, including those practicing the healing arts, namely death. This is what the book is about. Now here is a literal sitting king writing to you. Let's see what he has to say. The fearful abounding at this time in this country of these detestable slaves of the devil, the witches or enchanters, has moved me, beloved reader, to dispatch and post this following treatise of mine, not in any way, as I protest, to serve for a show of my learning and ingenuity, but only moved of conscience to press thereby, so far as I can, to resolve the doubting hearts of many, both that such assaults of Satan are most certainly practiced, and that the instruments thereof merits most severely to be punished, against the damnable opinions of two principally in our age, whereof the one called Scott, an Englishman, is not ashamed in public print to deny that there can be such a thing as witchcraft, and so maintains the old error of the Sadducees in denying of spirits, This is the same thing we have going on today. There's nothing new under the sun. People are ashamed to say that witchcraft is real and everything because all these devils, which is what he's telling you that they are and what they're doing, they shame people. They shame the average person. King James could say what he wanted to because he was king. The other called Warus, a German physician, sets out a public apology for all these craft folks, whereby procuring for their impunity. He plainly shows himself to have been one of that profession. And for to make this treatise the more pleasant and facile, or how you pronounce it, facile, I have put it in form of dialogue, which I have divided into 3 books. The first speaking of magic in general and necromancy in special, the second of sorcery and witchcraft, and the third contained a discourse of all these kinds of spirits and specters that appear and trouble people, together with a conclusion of the whole work. My intention in this labor is only to prove 2 things, as I have already said. The one, that such devilish arts have been and are. The other, what exact trial and severe punishment they merit, and therefore reason what kinds of things are possible to be performed in these arts, and by what natural causes they may be. Not that I touch every particular thing of the devil's power, for that were infinite, but only to speak scholastically, since this cannot be spoken in our language. I reason upon type, leaving appearance and differences to be comprehended therein. As for example, speaking of the power of magicians, in the first book in 6th chapter, I say that they can suddenly be brought unto them all kinds of dainty dishes by their familiar spirit, since as a thief he delights to steal, and as a spirit he can quickly and secretly transport the same. Now under this kind may be comprehended all particulars, depending thereupon, such as the bringing wine out of the wall, as we have heard oft to have been practiced, and such others, which particulars are sufficiently proved by the reasons of the general, and such like in the 2nd book of Witchcraft in special, and 5th chapter, I say improved by the verse arguments that witches can, by the power of their master, cure or cause diseases. Now by these same reasons, that proves their power by the devil of diseases in general, is as well proved their power in special, as a weakening the nature of some men to make them unable for women. You should get what he's saying, causing what we call erectile dysfunction, and they're doing it now through the food, and making it to abound in others more than the ordinary course of nature would permit, and such like in all other particular sicknesses. But one thing I will pray you to observe in all these places, while reasoning upon the devil's power, which is the different ends and scopes that God, as the first cause, and the devil as his instrument, and second cause, shoots at all in all these actions of the devil, as God's hangman. For where the devil's intention in them is ever to perish, either the soul or the body, or both of them, that he is so permitted to deal, God by the contraries draws ever out of the evil glory to himself, either by the wrath of the wicked in his justice, or by the trial of the patient and amendment of the faithful, being awakened upon with that rod of correction. Having thus declared unto thee then my full intention in this treatise, you will easily excuse, I doubt not, as well as my pretermitting to declare the whole particular rights and secrets of these unlawful arts, as also their infinite and wonderful practices, as being neither of them pertinent to my purpose, the reason whereof is given in the last of the 1st chapter of the 3rd book. And who likes to be curious in these things, he may read, if he will hear of their practices. Then written with judgment together with their confessions that have been at this time apprehended. If he will know what has been the opinion of the ancients concerning their power, he shall see it well described by Hyperius and, how you pronounce the name, two late German writers, besides innumerable other new theologies that write largely upon that subject. And if he would know what are the particular rites and curiosities of these black arts, which is both unnecessary and perilous, he will find it in the fourth book of Cornelius Agrippa and Varius, of whom I spake prior. And so wishing my pains in this treatise, beloved reader, to be effectual in arming all them that read the same against these above mentioned errors, and recommending my goodwill to your friendly acceptance, I bid you heartily farewell. What does that show you? What does that tell you? It shows and tell you that they're trying to use this book, because it was written by King James, to come against the word of God. It's exposing the demons. It's exposing these black arts that they operate in, the different spirits. The ultimate goal is to come against the word of God, come against his credibility by attacking his character with lies. My question is, do you like liars? Therefore, if you don't like liars, then how can you sit here and support liars, unless you yourself are a liar, simply because you don't believe the Bible, you don't believe the Word of God?
This is just a test. The big one comes later. This is just a test. The big one comes later. This is just a test. The big one comes later.
You wish to test me? Good.